Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and if you recently saw my review of the amazing Guillerme Bilinski Art Tyrannosaurus Rex, painted by Shane Foulkes, you probably noticed the talent that was on display in that review, and if you enjoyed that talent and that review, you're probably going to like this, because we're back at it again, this time with a Saurophaganax, and this was actually sculpted yet again by Guillerme Bilinski Art, and yes, yet again painted by Shane Foulkes. So extremely exciting to now not only have that Grail piece, which is the Guillerme Bilinski Art Tyrannosaurus, but also technically in a way this would almost be another Grail piece because it's yet another incredible Guillerme Bilinski Art model painted again by Shane Foulkes. Now I was able to acquire this model at the same time that I was able to acquire the Tyrannosaurus, and again had Shane paint this one up, and it looks absolutely magnificent. The coloration that he used on it looks great. The color scheme looks great, all very nice, natural, and I actually really do quite enjoy bluish tones on theropods. It's hard to make it look good, but when you do, I think it looks so good, and Shane did a great job of painting this up again in a really nice way where those bluish tones just look fantastic. And on top of that, the sculpt is incredible from Guillerme Bilinski. He is probably one of the most underrated sculptors in existence right now. Again, just pumping out amazing model after amazing model, and this Saurophaganax is absolutely as amazing as it gets when it comes to this species. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Saurophaganax, you can see again it looks really nice. On top of having just an extremely beautiful appearance overall, it has some really nice fine detail. You can see that the nostrils are sculpted out quite nicely here. At the tip of the snout, you can also see all of the scale detail looks really nice, really vibrant, or you could if my camera would stay focused. You have that classic crest up there on the head, and you can see he's done a really good job as far as Shane Foulkes goes of painting it up where it highlights all of Guilherme's incredible detail. You can see he's added a nice wash to it, like a nice darker wash and everything to really bring out all the cracks and crevices of that crest. And you can also see, again, a really nice kind of a brighter yellowish tone that he's used up there, which looks really good. Of course, we have these nice bluish tones moving through the face, lighter tones as you move down, super smooth transition. You also have some variations of like a darker brown that's sort of spot along the upper side of the head, and you can see kind of spot down here all around the eye socket. There's also some pinkish tones there around the eye. The eye is painted with perfection. You can also see a nice gloss coat on the eye, again highlighting the eye, making it look really nice and realistic and lifelike. The sculpting and detailing of the eye area as well looks incredible. You've got some really nice looking skin texture here as far as the lower jaw goes here as you move down. Again, quite a bit of color variation as you always find. If you watched my Rexy review from the Guillerme Bilinski Art Rexy, you really probably took notice to how much I rave about Shane's paintwork, because I don't think anybody else out there paints models as realistically as Shane Foulkes does. And again, that would require a lot of different color variation, a lot of different slight alternate tones of color to be applied to make it look as lifelike as it gets, and you can definitely see that here through the course of this Saurophaganax. You can also see that the inside of the mouth has a nice variation of like some pinkish and purplish tones, also a nice gloss coat there to give it that genuine wet look. You can see the teeth are all sculpted individually as you move through, all of course painted beautifully by Shane, and I don't know how good of a job we're going to get a look at the inside of the mouth here. We have to turn it sideways so that the tail doesn't hit the backdrop there. We might be able to maneuver it here a little bit. So you can see the tongue and everything looks really good as far as the sculpt goes. The shadows are of course going to take over the inside of the mouth there on the upper side. You can kind of get a look at the detailing up there. It looks incredible up in the top of the mouth as well. And you can also see how nice the sculpt looks up here on the top of the head. Again, some more of that dark wash obviously present. We have those nice yellowish tones as well as like a yellowish brown moving down along the spinal column. We do start to pick up some ridges here running along the back of the neck of the Saurophaganax. And as we move down, we have that kind of light yellowish tone moving down, but you can also see that we have those darker brown kind of spots that pretty much create a border between the yellow and the bluish tones, and it looks really cool the way Shane has painted this. All of that application of the paint is incredibly smooth, incredibly naturalistic. You can also see the transitions are extremely smooth as you move down. There are a few kind of like larger scales, almost like osteoderm-like scales throughout the upper part of the neck for our Saurophaganax. And as you move down, you can see all kinds of creasing and wrinkling and everything throughout the course of the throat region of the dinosaur. Moving down a little bit further, you can definitely make out the shoulder blade, but really slightly. It is not in any way, shape, or form shrink wrapped. And as you move down a little further, you can see some more creasing and everything leading down into the arm of the dinosaur. Nice folding of the skin here in the elbow. The elbow itself is also nicely highlighted, and look at how incredibly vibrant and crisp the skin texture is. Guilherme's sculpt work is honestly out of this world, as is Shane's painting skill. As you move down, you can see kind of like a scoot-like appearance running down the fingers. Very nicely painted nails with a dark gray. Moving back up into the stomach region, we have some more nice looking skin texture, more nice looking scale detail, as well as some wrinkling and creasing in the lower part of the stomach as far as the skin goes, of course, especially with the movement of the leg as the Saurophaganax is running along. You would definitely see some movement there shown when it comes to the skin texture of the stomach region. You can also see more of that darker brown kind of leading down here and just spotting and even striping up in certain spots. And we continue to have that like a light, almost like an orangish brown actually, running along the spinal column. You can continue to see those ridges moving down the course of the dinosaur, as well as those osteoderms picking up here and there. Extremely, extremely nice looking sculpt and detail as you move through. You also have a row of scoots moving over the top of the hip region here. As you move down, you can also pick out the hip region itself is nicely highlighted there. As you move down, you can also see the muscle definition. Again, extremely nice looking paintwork. Even within the blues, you could see variations of lighter and darker shades of blues, just making it look so realistic and so lifelike. As you continue to move down, you can definitely see that the muscles are tensing through the course of the leg. You can really see that here in the calf muscle, but if you take notice to the opposing side there, that foot is up off of the ground, which would mean that this leg right here is entirely supporting the weight of our dinosaur as it's moving along. And Saurophaganax is no light dinosaur, trust me, it definitely has some weight to it. So with all the weight bearing on this one leg, you would definitely expect to see all the tensing. Like, I specifically love this part here where you can really see how much the muscle definition is tensing. As you move down, you can see the kneecap right here. Again, some variation of color. You even have like some yellowish tones picking up as you move down the course of the foot, leading down into the foot itself. We have some nice scoots running down the front of the foot, down into the toes. Really nicely painted nails, again with that dark gray, but he's even added in some variation of color to the nails, and you can see that the actual fine detail of the nails is really nice. There's like some cracks and crevices and everything in that area. And then of course we do have dew claws, you can see right there, but our current dew claws on the opposing side. But as we move back up, you can kind of make out the skin there stretching off of the tail as you lead out. You again have all sorts of variation of color leading out the length of the tail. You can also start to see that these ridges running along the spinal column are definitely diminishing in size as you lead out, and you do have a really nice, very elegant curve to the tail as you lead out. You can also see the bluish coloration transition away to we have like an off-white here with a few stripes at the end of the tail, just for a little hint of flashiness out there as well. Incredibly, incredibly smooth transition as we move out there. You can also see those yellowish and brownish tones taper away and lead along the top of the dinosaur before pretty much completely disappearing once we reach that striped area out there. You can also see the underside has incredibly nice detail. You can also see the cloaca is present. We won't really get too far under there just because it's still attached to the base. It's kind of creative the way that he's attached it to the base. It actually screws in, and I chose not to disconnect it just because I have it on here nice and stable. I like the way it's on the base, and I don't want to mess with it too much and wear down the hole that I screw it into, so I chose to just keep it on the base because it is so nicely stable on here currently. You can see as you move down, though, we have some more really nice looking detailing there to the underside of the stomach, leading up into the chest, some more skin wrinkles and stuff as you lead up into the throat region. And then, of course, the opposing side, you're not going to see too much difference, but you will notice right away that our Saurophaganax has its head turned slightly to the left, even slightly tilted. So we do have a little bit of difference, but overall, the head sculpt again looks incredible. Really, really nice, really precise paintwork, just like we saw throughout the course of the entire model. You will definitely always find that when it comes to a Shane Foulkes paint job. And then as you move down, you again see all the same style of detailing that we had seen on the initial side, pretty much the same exact, again, beautiful paintwork moving down the course of the body. The arm is held in almost the same position, honestly, like very, very similar, maybe slightly different positioning as far as the fingers go, but overall that looks fairly similar. As you lead back here into the stomach region, though, this is one area that's going to look a little bit different because we can definitely see a little bit more of the stomach region because the leg here is trailing quite a bit as the dinosaur is running along, really opening up the stomach, showing us how nice the skin texture looks, all the skin wrinkles and all the fine detail, as well as the, again, masterful paintwork of Shane Foulkes. As you continue to move along, you can see how like the skin is reacting right here to the movement of this leg with the hip bone and everything. Such incredible, really small details like that are always what gets me so excited and just makes me fall in love with really highly detailed models like this. As you move down, you can again see a plethora of coloration moving through the course of the thigh, again leading down into the leg. You've got some more creasing there in the joint of the knee, the kneecap yet again in the front there. And you can see some really nice curves to the toes and everything as the dinosaur is running along that foot, obviously. Just left the ground and is about to head back up here and obviously take another step as our Saurophaganax is potentially pursuing something. Looks like that to me. Definitely looks like it's running in for a kill. And you can even see the undersides of the feet are really nicely detailed, and Shane's paintwork continues to look amazing even on the undersides of the feet, again, giving various tones of color and washes and everything down there as well. And then you lead back up here into the tail. You can see a few more creases and stuff right behind the thigh as you lead out again through the course of the tail with that super elegant curve. You can see it's not too far off to the left or right, just kind of up and down with a slight curve toward its right out there at the tip of the tail. And the base as well looks really good. We have a very nice naturalistic earthy area for the base, as well as some, trees and stuff, some old kind of broken down and now deceased trees and logs. If we turn it around without smacking the camera too much, you can get a better look at it again over here. As we have a really nice earthy area here that our Saurophaganax is running through, and again, Shane's paintwork of the base looks incredibly nicely done, just like the Saurophaganax itself. And then you of course have the underside here, this black underside, which is just the icing on the cake as far as the presentation goes, just presenting it in a really almost museum-like way. So another incredible model added to my collection, one that is absolutely a centerpiece to any collection, and again one that unfortunately is discontinued, I believe. I don't think that Guillerme Bilinski produces this model anymore, so one of the many reasons I'm so insanely excited to have this, but also because, again, painted by Shane Foulkes and sculpted by Guillerme Bilinski. It's probably two of my favorite paleo artists in the world combined into one, so that is absolutely as epic as it gets. So this gives you a good idea of how nice and impressive the sculpting and detailing is of a Guillerme Bilinski sculpt, but also how impressive the paintwork is of a Shane Foulkes paint job. Again, it really is the best of both worlds. As far as a size goes, it is quite sizable. For a length, you are looking at about 14.5 inches or around 37 centimeters, and the highest point absolutely is the tail. You're looking at about 6.75 inches or around 17 centimeters. So for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. Mr. Papo T-Rex is just kind of peeking up there over the top of the tail of our Saurophaganax. But you can definitely see, again, overall the model does sport a really impressive size. But I'm not going to do too many comparisons with this just because the model isn't readily available. I will do a few, of course, but just in case you happen to find one for sale at some point somewhere, or if Guillerme Bilinski eventually re-releases it. But again, I will, of course, do a few comparisons, but not too many. I did want to get that out of the way right away. But you can definitely see, regardless, it does have a pretty impressive size overall, especially next to Mr. Papo Rex. Here is a size comparison next to the Nanmu Allosaurus. You can see pretty similar in size, but the Guillerme Bilinski Art Saurophaganax is a bit larger than the Nanmu Allosaurus. Definitely a bit thicker and everything in body mass. Probably similar, sort of in length, but definitely bigger when it comes to Guillerme Bilinski's Saurophaganax. Then we have the PNSO Allosaurus here next to the Saurophaganax. Again, showing you that the PNSO Allosaurus is quite a bit smaller as well. Definitely a very sizable model here. I think we're going to see that throughout the course of a few comparisons here when it comes to the Guillerme Bilinski Art Saurophaganax. It's definitely quite a bit larger than most similar models of this type of species. Unless I were to bring in the reborn version of the Saurophaganax, then that one's definitely going to be a bit larger because that thing is huge, but I have it in an awkward spot on my shelf, so I don't think it would be a good idea to pull that one out or I'm going to collapse a whole bunch of stuff. But for another comparison, alright, I lied. I just figured I don't want to disappoint, so I went ahead and dug out one of the Saurophaganax from Rebor here and decided to use that as my final comparison piece. But I'm honestly quite impressed because the Guillerme Bilinski Art version is actually very similar in size to the Rebor version, and for some reason I didn't really expect that. I completely expected the Rebor version to be quite a bit larger, but obviously some things like the head sculpts and stuff, you can see the head sculpt of the Rebor version is a bit larger, but as far as the overall appearance, it's not too far off. I think the Rebor one still is a little bit larger, but as a whole, they're nowhere near as far off from each other as I was expecting them to be. So this Guillerme Bilinski Art Saurophaganax is an incredible addition to my collection, one that I absolutely enter with pride and the absolute most excitement possible because I've really wanted to get more Guillerme Bilinski into my collection for a very long time. He's one of my favorite paleo artists in the world. I just absolutely adore his work. I've been looking at it from afar for a very long time, but it wasn't until I think just last year that I officially entered my first piece of his work into my collection, and I was completely in love with it when it comes to the young Rex and the Littlefoot model that I have. And now we have the pleasure of adding in the Rexy model that I've been pretty much dreaming of owning, which I have already done with a previous review, and now the Saurophaganax, which I actually didn't even realize was released by Guilherme until I purchased the Tyrannosaurus. I actually had to go back and look through Guilherme's posts to find this and get a good idea of how long ago it was released, and it was definitely a little while ago, so I'm very excited to have a model like this that is normally a little bit unattainable and a little bit hard to find, probably a little bit pricey, but of course I got a pretty good deal on both of these and in fact one other model as well, and now entered them into my collection. The other model, unfortunately, is not a Guillerme Bilinski model, but it is something that's really cool I will be reviewing very soon. Regardless, Guilherme's Saurophaganax is gorgeous. The sculpt is incredible, extremely vibrant detail, really nice dynamic pose. I love the running pose. It looks like it's a perfect pose to create kind of a diorama with a different model, some sort of a model that could turn out to be the prey of our Saurophaganax, because the pose of it is just so perfect for that scene to take place, for that diorama, as it's just charging in, looking like it absolutely is ready to take a bite out of something. The mouth is partially open, the hands look like they're just ready to go, so really nice pose, really nice appearance overall. And on top of that, we have the incredible paintwork of Shane Foulkes here added to this model, just topping off the overall amazing appearance to it. And you can see that his paintwork is, again, just as top of the line as it gets. You really won't find any paleo artist out there, in my opinion anyway, that does a better job at painting models than Shane Foulkes does. Of course, also sculpting models. He has a lot of models that he sells that he has sculpted, and he as well is an amazing sculptor, just like Guilherme is, but you can again see that the paintwork of Shane Foulkes here is incredible throughout so many different tones of color. Really nice, very appealing looking paint scheme that looks nice and natural. Again, he took a yellowish tone and bluish tone, which is like from afar the main colors that you really make out on this dinosaur, and applied them to a Saurophaganax. And look at how natural and realistic it looks. Like it 100% looks like that could be the coloration of this dinosaur. I know if I tried that, it wouldn't turn out so nicely, so kudos to Shane for pulling this paint job off so brilliantly. Again, once you get up nice and close, you can see how much work, how much depth is actually included in the paint job. It really is as lifelike as it gets. So the combination, again, of Shane and Guilherme in one model is just a dream collectible for most, and especially for me, and I now have two of those models in my collection. So, as always, just like I said in the Rex review, I will include links in the description to both Guillerme Bilinski Art's social media accounts, as well as Shane Foulkes' social media accounts and website for Cretaceous Creations of America, where you can check out both of those incredible artists, and you can inquire further about purchasing models, getting paintwork done, whatever it is that you want to see done to your stuff, or again, purchasing some of their stuff. Make sure you contact them, make sure you get some amazing models from both into your collection, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.